Welcome to the Winning in Business podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and I love talking to business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are winning in business. Are you ready to reach your next level of success? If so, join us on the Winning in Business podcast as I interview entrepreneurs, business professionals, and leaders who share how they've risen to success. Before we begin, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification button so you'll be notified each time a new episode is released. Plug in and settle in. You're about to be inspired to rise up to your next level of success. Welcome back to another episode of Winning in Business. My name is Kelly Rissy, your host, and thank you for being with us today. And I'm super excited for our guest. You are absolutely going to love her. So Shelly Snow Pordea is a novelist, screenwriter, and publishing coach. Her first novel series, Tracing Time, is regularly in the top 100 time travel romance books on Amazon Kindle. And her children's book, The Hug Who Had No Arms, debuted as a #1 Amazon bestseller. As a survivor of a religious cult, Shelly was among the early #IGotOut social media collaborators for survivors of religious and cultic abuse, and is now an I Got Out nonprofit board member. Shelly's passion for advocacy through storytelling has led her to appear on podcasts like Preacher Boys, Socially Misguided, and Then Everything Changed, discussing what life and recovery after growing up in a cult is like. As a publishing coach, Shelly's online You Can courses help entrepreneurs and professionals write and publish stories that make an impact. As a screenwriter, a fictional adaptation for a series drama of Shelly's personal story is currently in production, collaboration with her brother and actor, Jon Snow. Oh my gosh, Shelly, this is so exciting.
Oh, thank you.
There's so much to unpack in here, from you being a novelist, your whole growing up experience and what that has led to, then the screenplays that is coming out. So, oh my gosh, let's dive in. So let's start with the question of, well, how did you get into doing what you're doing? Take us down a little memory lane here.
Sure. Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. And I really started my journey into writing. I mean, as a child, I wrote a lot. I loved writing, but I didn't really think much about doing it because my dad was a writer. I mean, just a prolific poet. And he was approached by people when the internet was very new and burgeoning, and it felt like, only predators were in chat rooms. My dad was in poetry spaces, and publishing companies came to him and asked if they could publish his stuff. And so I was intimidated, of course, by that. But when he passed away suddenly, the only way that I knew how to cope and emote was through writing. And I started a story. I was living overseas at the time, working at an international school, and I got promoted in my job, left it on the shelf for a while, and moved back to the States in 2013, found a job that I was dispassionate about. And I was just seeking for another outlet, and I picked up my story again. I told my husband, I'm going to do something with this. I'm going to publish. And so I literally Googled how to become a published author, and I found a program, and the rest is history, I guess. Yeah.
And so when did you decide to become a coach and help people? And, because that's a whole nother part of your story.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I was still working full time when I published my first novel. And once I finished it, I kept getting requests of people asking, how did you do that? Could you help me? I'll pay you for your time. And I knew I wanted to write a trilogy. And so I basically just told my husband, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to figure this thing out. And so I did. It was basically born out of necessity, really. People were wanting help and I needed cash.
Yeah.
Because I had quit my full-time job. So, it was one of those things that many, I think, entrepreneurs do. We have this sort of figure it out spirit. Isn't it Marie Forleo who says everything is figure outable? Is that her?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so I just kind of embraced that and decided that I was going to figure that out and not be, a struggling artist.
I love that. And, like, I love the whole thing of when you're going to be a business owner, when there's a problem, solve the problem. And you were solving the problem because people were coming to you with the problem. I need help, which led into that. So that is fantastic. And then do you want to lead us now into how the whole screenplay thing came about?
Yes, sure. So that happened because I was randomly on Goodreads and I saw, so they don't send you notifications like online, Amazon or Goodreads or wherever else you have your books. They don't send you a notification that somebody made a review. You just kind of have to either be intentional about looking for them or happen upon them. And that was the case with me. I was on Goodreads just for my personal stuff. And I noticed that somebody had left a review saying Hallmark should buy this. And I was like, yeah, probably they should buy this. And so I got onto social media and I tagged Hallmark and I was like, hey, you should buy this. And I had somebody reach out to me and say, I have a friend who works for Hallmark. Do you want a connection? And I was like, yeah, that would be great. And so, long story short, I got a talent manager to represent me. My brother is an actor in Hollywood. And so he started talking to some people that he knew, and I got some representation and started working on different projects. One of them being turning my trilogy into a screenplay. So that is
so exciting.
Yeah, I just followed the thread, it's
right.
just, I follow those ideas, and I kind of, at the beginning, I think I had a mindset of, I'm going to try this out, who am I? But like, okay, sure, I'm going to try it. And once I got into it and saw that things are possible, I was able to say, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody has to write those stories, right?
Yes. Yes. I think that right there, why not me, leads into the next question perfectly. What are some big ahas that you want to share with my audience that really has contributed to your success? I think that's a perfect first one. Like, why not me? But anyway, what else would you like to share?
Yes, that is so true. And I think it came because of coaching. So I had a really good coach who encouraged me. I was really struggling, I think, with my place. And I feel like so many of us do, in a world of algorithms and saturation, we are all vying for some sort of attention. And I, second guessing, listening to some of the naysaying, right? And so that coach asked me how I got there. And I was in a workshop with him and I was like, well, I read your book and I quit my job and I saw you had a workshop. And he's just like, cool. Had you ever read any other self-help entrepreneurial or writing books in the past? I was like, well, yeah. And he goes, okay, did you quit your job because of it? And it's like, no. He said, so some of the words I wrote resonated deeply enough with you that made you make a shift in your life. And I was like, yeah. And he said, somebody is waiting for your words to do that.
Oh, that is so powerful.
Yeah. And
that is so powerful.
Yeah. And I had a major shift at that workshop, and, decided that my work's not for everybody, but it is for someone. And there's space enough for anybody's story. So investing in that coaching and, having those mindset shifts were huge ahas for me. Just to follow my intuition. That was another thing that I learned as I went. Like, I don't think I would ever have thought of tagging Hallmark on social media and having people who are actually in the industry notice that and say, hey, I have a connection. Would you like an introduction? And, that felt far-fetched to me. But like, as things happened, I just followed my gut.
And I think that is so important, because I feel like there are times that we truly forget to do that. And our gut is telling us things. I like to look at my gut as kind of, just for me personally, like, this is the Holy Spirit, this is the universe, and it's speaking. And when it's telling you to do something, there's a reason that it's telling you to do something, and truly to follow that. Right. And think about how often we argue with our intuition, right? How, like, we're arguing, like, I shouldn't do that. And look what happens when you do follow it. Like, great things happen.
Yes, Kelly, and I can't say that I always do or have, right? Just like you said, we
Yeah.
argue. The naysayers in our lives are so real. It doesn't matter what industry you're in or what you're starting. I have a friend who started a business recently, and she is crushing it, like, out of the gate, like not many entrepreneurs can do. And she had somebody in her family ask her about, like, the smoke and mirrors show she's got going on social media about who she is. And, like, it could have pummeled her, right? Like, that's rough, but there's evidence that she is successful already. And so just to, like, remind yourself and get to that point where, okay, this does affect us. I'm human. It's going to maybe put me back for a day or two. I'm going to have to mourn this whole thing. I'm going to have a discussion, a hard conversation with this family member or whatever it is. You take that time, but hopefully we learn from it and expect that the naysayers will be there, but we can prove otherwise.
Yeah. And I agree with what you said about there being naysayers in any industry. I mean, clearly go on to any Google review and of anything, and you're going to find naysayers, right?
Oh,
and I do agree with the hardest ones that are when they're family members, when you're really pushed up against that. I mean, that really, you got to dig deep for that, and you have to truly know who you are, and you have to know your why. That's why they say for entrepreneurs, business owners, it's so important to know your why. I encourage anyone, whether you're in business or not, to truly have a mission statement, because when you have a mission statement and you can live your life by your mission statement, then you can, like, combat the naysayers, because you're like, no, this is my mission statement and this is what I'm doing.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think, do you agree that the more successful you become, it really just means you're going to have more naysayers? I mean,
well, yeah, because you become more and more visible. So
yes.
Just the people who, find it their mission in life to comment are going to. So,
yeah. Although it's very interesting. I don't know about you. Anytime I stop myself from being like, well, what will other people say? Nobody's saying anything. Like, honestly, no one's saying anything. Like, what am I even worried about? You know what I mean? Like, at this point, I don't have naysayers yet or know about them, right? I mean, they could be all over the place, but I don't know about them. And yet, even when they're not verbal, we have to make sure we're in the mindset, right? That goes back to being in that right mindset that, you talked about with your coach, of making sure you push through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it does start with kind of that lesson of, it's okay to look and know that you are not the right fit for every person. Your business, your services, your writings, whatever it is that you do is not going to help every single person. I often equate it to beauty products. My best friend from childhood and I are alike in so many ways, but we're exact opposite physically. Like,
okay,
she's got blonde hair, super pale skin. And anytime I find, like, anything from shampoo to lip gloss that is perfect for me, it is awful for her. Like, it just doesn't work. It's something that'll make my hair, like, floofy and great. It'll make hers, like, super flat, and so, like, it's just a mess, right? And it's kind of like that. Products will not work for everybody because everyone's different.
Right.
So
yes.
your audience is out there.
Yes. Love that. Okay. So any other ahas you want to share?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's been so many in my life. I think that the most poignant for me was the day I realized that I didn't have to trust that anyone else could do it better than I could.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
do
Share more. Yeah.
So I feel like it's just a matter of the work that I'm doing, I believe in, and I have one perspective in, whatever happens in different scenarios, different, even my cult experience, for example, right? That's one perspective, but only I can tell my story the best way that it can be told. And I invest in that. I practice that. I write daily. I, immerse myself in the things that I want to be better at. So trusting that I am the best person for this job is what keeps me going.
Yes, I love that. And I feel like that, I mean, we can all take that in, because in our industry, I mean, there's so many of what I do, right? There's so many coaches, they're all over the place, but I'm the only one that can do it the way that I do it. And that has the personality that I have. And, going back to, I'm going to attract who I'm going to attract, which is that, and I have a space.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because your experience is so unique that no
Yes.
one else can articulate it the way that you can.
Mhm.
And again, it is like you said, you're just going to attract the person who can relate on a level that can go deep the way that you need it to.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's not every person. You don't have time for every person on the planet.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that is, I mean, that's true as well. I mean, that's very true. Yes. Okay, good. So what challenges then are you facing in your business? So I mean, I feel like you do so many things. You're a writer, but you have this whole publishing business that you're helping people publish and do all that. So what challenges do you face?
Yeah, I think like most of us, we battle algorithms and visibility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like
Yeah.
everybody else. I try to be seen and market and not be sleazy and, all the things, that everyone tries to do on the internet. Um, I think time management is a huge one for me. That's so challenging.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a really good mom and wife. That's a top priority for me. My kids are grown, but I, watch my granddaughter once a week and try to really invest in my husband and kids still. And so managing that and a business and trying to write my own stories still and create, that is huge. So I read a book once by John Acuff. I'm not sure if you're familiar with his work, but he wrote a book called Finish. Give yourself
Mm-hmm.
the gift of getting it done, I think. And one of the key principles in it was choosing what to fail at.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that great? I mean, that has stuck with me. I read it, I think the year I published my first novel, that
Okay.
really was the end stretch for me to like finish. And it helped me so much because during those last 3 months of getting my novel finished and ready for publishing, I decided that I was really going to suck at housework. My kids were teenagers and, everybody was living at home and had sports schedules and theater and all the stuff. And I was like, I am not going to clean the house. So y'all are going to have to step it up and do that thing. And so I think that I try to balance that. Like, what am I just going to suck at while I'm doing this? Because I can't do everything.
Yes.
Because it's so challenging. It's really,
Yes.
it's a challenge. Yeah.
And I think we have to also realize that there's a time and place for everything, right? It doesn't mean we have to suck at housework forever. Although I have a cleaning lady personally, because that's what works in my house. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean we have to let it go forever. It means we have to let it go for now so that we can finish, right?
Exactly.
And I think that, you know, sometimes that can become the fear of people. Well, if I stop doing it, I'll never restart, or I'll never, you know what I mean? Things like that. And
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. It is kind of, scary when you go to somebody and you're like, okay, you're gonna have to like clean the toilet to somebody who's never done it in their lives, which wasn't
Mhm.
really the case with my kids. They've done their own laundry since they were like 12. So
Yeah,
but it's just one of those things of like, this is for a time. It is, if you feel that like you're gonna lose momentum because if you stop something, kind of give yourself a break. I noticed recently I subscribe to, newsletters and things for different entrepreneurs and business owners. And I kind of saw this trend recently of different people using what I feel like are antiquated quotes, like, quitters never win and winners never quit. And, the hustle and grind type. And I think that there's a time and a place, right? But
mhm.
the message to me is like, why we've got so much technology and all kinds of a different lifestyle that when that saying came out, like winners never quit and quitters never win and all that, is like that they didn't have the nuance that we have in our lives today. Like if you want to quit social media for a month, just do it. Like you
Right,
said, not many people are going to actually notice.
right,
Like
right.
it's not the end of the world, and let yourself off the hook a little.
Yeah, I think it's deciding what to quit, right? What do I need to quit right now, for sure? And going back to what you said, you know, this is one of the biggest struggles that business owners and entrepreneurs have, this whole stopping and starting thing of projects, right? Like the finishing of projects. And a lot of that comes from, and I don't know if you feel like this in for you in your business, it's the being able to delegate. It really is being even in your business, right? Like you're like, can I trust my kids to clean the toilets? Well, now in business, we have to trust people to do whatever it is that we need done, right? And being able to let go of the control so that we can do the important things that we need to do, that only we can do, right? Only you can write the book.
Yeah.
And then it's giving up the control of who can I have do the other things for me while I write the book, right? And that control piece, it's a big thing.
It is a big thing. It is a big thing. But happy is the day, right? When you can go and outsource
Yes,
your social
yes,
media or
yes,
your back end of your website or whatever it
right.
might be,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what you did with your coach, but that's one of the biggest things that I coach business owners on, is that reclaiming time, right? So that you can get back time to do what you are passionate about, that creates the first of all, the passion in you, right? And then, you know, how you can grow your business without losing your life, you
Yes.
know?
And I mean, that's how my online courses were born, because I
Yes,
was
let's talk about your online courses. Perfect.
yeah, yeah. So I was coaching all of the time. Like I didn't have the
Uh-huh.
space to create the things that I'm passionate about. And I have, even today in the software that I use to write, I probably have 6 novel ideas started. Um, and I'm like, one day I'll get to that, which is fine. Like I will get to it someday. And maybe some of them will be trash. I don't know. But the fact that I can now open my schedule and look that I have writing blocks in them instead
Yes.
of coaching calls
Yes.
is like, I don't have stress about it anymore, because I have a goal. I'm going to publish my next novel. And so I have a date in mind, and that has freed me up. Because I realized that instead of all these, expensive coaching calls and long delays, or, you didn't do this homework, so we can't move on to whatever,
Yes.
and all this stuff, it's like, it's all filmed in a pretty package with links that take you to places that you need for the resources, and you gotta buy it once and you have access and you are on your own. Like it's
And
your timetable. Yeah.
and you have 3 online courses, is that correct? And
Yes.
they all lead into each other, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason I did it that way is because after the experience I've had of working with clients, everyone's at a different phase. Some people have a book idea and they just don't know how to formulate it into a book, an outline, a structured chapter thing. So that's the first course, is You Can Write a Book.
Okay.
Takes you through how to
And
do
is
it.
that for, is that strictly for fiction? Is it for like self-help, nonfiction? I mean, you can literally use it for anything.
You can. So I do have nuance in it, and I kind of point you to some other people as well in the work that they're doing in the specific fields. But writing a book is writing a book. There's a
Okay.
structure to it and a way, different methods, of course. And like I said, I put in options of how you can interpret that. With each of my novels, I used a different method of writing. It's crazy, or planning, I should say. Like
Okay.
with my first one, I drew out an entire map. Like there was the world and the people and how they connected. And then in the second one, I did what's called a story grid, and, had the scenes and the arcs and all the things pointed out. And the last one, I just did an outline. And it's just, that's how it came to me. I don't know why.
Okay.
So, I teach people how to utilize those. And if it's not working for you, like, shift.
Yeah.
If this one doesn't work, go to a different one, choose something, and then set word goals, set time frames, and get the book done. Yeah. So that's course one. And then the bulk of the information that I really dive into is how to self-publish. One of my favorite writers, are you familiar with Stephen Pressfield? He wrote The War of Art.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he just published his memoir, which I just ordered. I'm super excited about. And I love him as a writer. The Artist's Journey is another book that's fabulous of his. And he just self-published. And he's been on the like social media platforms that he has and stuff, just talking about why and how he as an artist owns his own art and the ease that you can do it with these days. And so I just feel really confident in getting this material to people, because you can self-publish and it can work for you. I have a client who last year went through my program and sold 13,000 books in less than a year.
Wow.
And now she's got, not Simon and Schuster, what's the other one, the big one, Penguin Random House courting her, So,
So
you
you can start by self-publishing, and then it can move into then you can get picked up by a publishing house.
Yes. And anybody can write a book proposal and start sending it to agents and try. That method has not changed in a century, or more. Right. So you can still do it that way, but if you self-publish, you have immediate access. And so why not use it? Yeah. And then the last course is called You Can Make an Impact, and it just goes through the basics. Like, what does a book launch look like? Where do you need to be? Have a modicum of a social media plan. I'm no guru. I'm not on social media every day, but I do have a plan.
Okay.
And so figuring out the plan of, what you're working into your website, how you're being seen online, and what kind of book launch plan you need to have. Or, I don't even know if you need to have it, but a plan is essential to get seen.
Yeah. Yes.
And so here are some ideas. Again, I point you to some people who are dedicating their careers to helping online authors, and their methods work. Otherwise, we wouldn't have people selling 13,000 copies of their book in a year. So
yeah. And I think, specifically, since we have a lot of business owners, what's your take on why should a business owner write a book?
Yes. First and foremost, it just establishes credibility in the space that you're in. Like, whatever your niche is, whatever subject matter you're an expert at, the idea of becoming a published author establishes this a reputation, I guess is the word I'm looking for, that you know what you're talking about and your methodologies work, right? They're proven. And like we said before, nobody can say that like you can. And it also opens doors. A lot of times as speakers, you're a speaker, so you know this. As speakers, when you go somewhere, oftentimes you are asked, do you have a book? You will have a table in the back, and
Mhm.
you can set up a signing or whatever it might be. And again, that just opens other opportunities, and even larger ones. Like, if I had never published my novel, I wouldn't be credible enough to have an interview with a talent manager in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, so
Mhm.
there's just opportunity after opportunity that really builds you as an authority in the space.
Yes. And I think to remember that as business owners, the intention, right? It really is the intention. And so my intention, of having a book may not be to sell millions of copies.
Yeah.
It may be to give my clients, it may be to have it speaking engaged, but it may not be to, let me say, not even sell, to earn money. My intention may not be to earn lots of money from my book,
Yeah.
right? It's a different intention of why that we may have a book. You know what I mean? And I think it's just important to keep the intentions of why you're writing the book in mind, because it's different for everyone.
Oh, 100%. And I will dispel any notions of grandeur. Authors don't make a lot of money off of books.
Right.
Right. The book sale is not what actually gets you an
Yes.
income. I mean, unless you're J.K. Rowling or something.
Yeah.
So if you sell
Right.
millions of copies of books, yes, you make millions of dollars. But for example, my book in Barnes and Noble, when one is sold, I receive $1, maybe $1.20, something like that. And I'm a self-published author, and so that is the better end of the deal. And on Amazon, it's a lot more. It's probably 3 times that. It's like $3, Kelly.
Okay.
So still not a lot, but
yeah, not even a coffee yet. You're not even in a coffee at Starbucks, right?
Right. So it's not necessarily that. It is, again,
what it leads to.
What it leads to.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Love that. Love that. Okay. So what are your goals moving forward?
Oh gosh. Okay. So business wise, my part of my mission statement is I want to help people understand not only that their story belongs, but how and where it belongs in a saturated world. So we talked about this, right? People have a sense of, or this need for belonging, right? If you've read Brene Brown's work at all, I'm sure you have.
Love Brene Brown. Yes.
Yes. And so we know that innately we have this desire to belong. And I think what keeps us from creating oftentimes is that we don't understand where our work belongs in this world. And I think that by building these courses and breaking them down the way they are broken down, right, wherever you are in this space, you can learn how and where your story belongs. So business wise, that's really the intent behind what I'm doing, because I truly believe that we are hardwired for story, that our brain makes sense of stories before anything else.
Yes. I mean, that's the biggest thing as a speaker, right? It's those people remember the stories. They might remember 1 or 2 nuggets of content, right? But it's the stories that they remember. And when you become a master storyteller, that's when you make the big bucks as a speaker. That's what I'll say.
Yes. I mean, and truly that is, for me, when I work with entrepreneurs, that is the goal, right? To get them that book in their hand so that this is the thing that will open doors to the higher ticket items, like stepping on a stage.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So that's a huge goal for me, to just help, people. And I mean, I don't have numbers behind that. I probably do. I write them down at the beginning of the year. I want to have, however many. So I don't remember what those are right now, but and then I mentioned before that my next novel is close to going to the editor. I'll need beta readers this fall, and then my hope is to launch in January for pre-sale and a full launch in the spring of 2024. So that's my next novel. I'm so excited about it.
Can you give us a teaser or anything? You may not be able to, and that's fine.
I can, if I can, I mean, I'm not going to remember it as well as I wrote it out for my little tease, but
Yeah.
it is called The Cheating Wife. And I witnessed the defacement of someone's property that said cheating wife. It was very jarring, and it just sparked a lot of conversation. And my gut told me that there was an abused woman who was getting the modern version of the Scarlet Letter. And I just decided to go with it and write a story about a woman who is navigating her way through society and the patriarchy. So
Wow.
coming in 2024, The Cheating Wife.
Okay, that sounds awesome. And hashtag, that sounds like a Hallmark movie too.
I know, right?
Yes, hashtag Hallmark.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
and for the record, so I did talk to somebody at Hallmark, and it's not a good fit for my trilogy because it is science fiction. It's got
Okay.
science fiction aspects. So Hallmark declined, if anyone's wondering, but
Okay.
we are still looking for others. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, so that's a goal. And then like I said, yeah, the movies, those are goals. And once the writers strike and acting strike and all that stuff comes to an end, my brother and I have a really decent package for a television show that I'm super excited about. We have some people in our corner, some directors and agents who really want to see us succeed. And so, yeah, like I said, hopefully when all of this ends, we'll be able to kind of hit go and start pitching our little hearts out.
And that's for your
That
personal experience. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We collaborated during the pandemic. We had monthly or weekly calls, my brother and I did, and just started ruminating on this idea of like, how can we make this work? Because I was working on a memoir, he was working on a story related to our childhood, and he asked if we could come together and create, and I said, yeah, sure, that's gonna be so fun, let's do it. I mean, fun is probably the wrong word.
Yeah. Yes.
I was in a lot of therapy when we were going through all that, and I probably will need a lot more when it gets picked up, but yeah.
Because that brings up things. I'm sure there's a whole healing component to it as well, right? And still bringing up stuff.
Oh, of course. And things that we don't remember and know until we're talking about it, right?
Yes.
Like they will just reveal themselves and you're like, oh,
yes.
I totally forgot that happened.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm curious, out of all of this, is there another accomplishment that you have not mentioned that you are really proud of?
Oh my goodness. Accomplishment that I'm really proud of. When I first started writing, I made the statement that this was a trilogy. And I knew that it was. I did not know what it would take to get me there.
Okay.
And I did it in 3 years, and I'm really proud of that. Yeah, I just hauled my little tush and wrote a book a year, and it was exciting and fun and exhausting, but I did it, and I'm really proud of it.
And so listeners, if you missed it in the bio, the trilogy is called Tracing Time.
Yeah.
So that's, yes. Okay. Awesome. And
can I share one more thing?
Oh my gosh, of course.
Okay. Cause it just jogged my memory when you said it, but I published the trilogy, the first book in the trilogy in 2017, January of 2017. And a few weeks ago, I signed a contract to have an actor and producer make it an audiobook. So yay, excited about that. But in doing so, I found out that for about half of the time that it's been in print, they had the wrong manuscript. Meaning there were some unedited mistakes in my manuscript because I had to transition software, and it was like image rights and all that, stuff had changed. And when all of it transferred, for some reason, it did not save the most recent file. And so I had an old file with mistakes in it. that my book was printed in for 3 years or whatever it was, 3.5 years. Half of the time it's been in print.
Okay.
And I just say that hopefully as an encouragement, because a few weeks ago I had to go back through my first novel, one that I would probably rewrite differently today because I'm a better writer, and fix the mistakes and re-upload and be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I just felt like I needed
Wow.
to share that.
Yeah, no, I think that's, you know what? I mean, that's like, that's part of being a business owner to me, right? Like things are going to happen like that. And then you go, okay, and you fix it and whatever has to happen. And then you move on and it is what it is. And there you go. Yeah. So the actor that's reading it, the audio version, now they have the correct one. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, thank God. I mean, she sent me some, excerpts, and I was like, what? And she told me this or that. And I looked at my script and I was just like, in the software, like my final software that I have. And I was like, oh my goodness. I don't even know where the final edited version was, because this would have been December of 2016.
Yeah.
So everything's good now, at least for the first one. I'm going to go back to the other two when she starts recording those and make sure I plug it in. And it is nicer now though, because like AI is super helpful when it finds like the mistakes or the missing words and all that. We didn't have that software when I was first writing. So
nice. That is, that's very useful. Excellent. Oh my gosh, I'm sure we could do a whole nother podcast and dive into AI and writing and how it's either good or bad, like the pros and cons of it. And yet we don't have time on this one. Right. So you'll have to come back at another time. Okay. So how can everyone connect with you? And I will put this in the show notes, but what's the best way to follow you or find your work? I know you said your books are on Amazon, also Barnes and Noble. Where else can people connect with you?
I mean, you can find the books pretty much wherever books are sold. The easiest way to find me is I have a unique name. And so you can put my name in any search engine, Shelly Snow Pordea. And that's my handle on the social media platforms. I am on Instagram mostly, also on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok, but not often. So just with my name. And then my website is also my name, shellysnowpordea.com. My platform for the courses are through my company website, but you can go just to my
so yes, and if someone would like to, like if someone's ready to become an author and they want to do the You Can and start really with the You Can Write a Book, how do they purchase that? How does that happen?
Yeah, there's a direct link from my website, shellysnowpordea.com. You can just click on courses and it'll take you to my company website, which is called TheCreativU. Perfect. I'm very, very passionate about people just finding their own creativity and telling their story. And so that's what that is. And I have a coupon code for your listeners.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, it's You Can. That's all, just one word, You Can.
Perfect. So I will put that link in the show notes. So if you are ready and you want to really dive into writing, purchase Shelly's course, what a great way to just get some direction and be able to do it on your own. Always have the course available for you. This is a great way to do it. I've known Shelly and I know that she is top quality in everything that she does. So I will put that link in there as well. Then you can get the discount. So that will be fabulous. Yeah.
Yes. And that's good on all courses. I even have a bundle. So if you want to save and bundle all three of them together, you get a discount for that, but then you get an additional 10% off if you use the code You Can.
You can code You Can. That's all you need to remember today is You Can. All right, Shelly, I want to thank you so much for your time, for your passion, for your creativity, for your gifts that you literally spread into the world. Like I just, in every angle, whether it be your fiction that you're letting your readers read, whether it be you out doing what I'm going to call mission work through the nonprofit and really spreading your story, like you are just a gift. So I thank you for being a guest today.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. I feel honored. I feel the same way about you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. And listeners, stay tuned. Come back for another week. We will be back next week for another episode of Winning in Business. Have a great one and rise up and live.
Thank you for being a part of the Winning in Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to rise up to your next level of success, but are worried about increased stress, time for work and yourself and your family, not to mention being exhausted, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary strategy call where I'll show you how you can do it all. I'll help you reclaim time, keep your sanity, handle the chaos with ease, and move to the next level of success that you deserve and desire. I hope you found value in listening today. Please always leave your comments, feedback, or questions. We check them all. I want you to continue winning in business and reach your next level of success. See you next time.